Take two. I'm back. Sorry about that, friends. Dad came to the rescue. Fortunately, he was just down the street at the park. So, all right. So as I was saying, here we are. We're going to start with our unit overview for first grade. Kinder's going to follow the same kind of format here. And then I'm going to plan week 1 with you. And we're only going to get that far. I will then go over the differences between weeks 1 and then weeks 2 and 3. But it's not going to be that different. So you, after filling out 1 week, you'd be able to do the other ones. Thank you. You'd be able to do the other ones on your own. It's real simple. Okay, so unit 1. And thanks for being patient, everybody, with the unit 1 planning templates. A lot of people are asking if they could see the photos of the already planned out unit 1 templates, and I've been purposefully not filling them out and uploading them just so that I could teach all of our new members, our second wave of benchmark users, how to plan, and that way, you know, you can do it on your own. I mean, you can of course go through the archives and look at the ones that have already been planned, but at least you'll have this skill set, so you don't have to rely on the ones that are done or not done yet. Okay, so for unit 1, our essential question is where I like to begin. So for first grade, it's going to be on your inside cover here. I like to start with the essential question because I love to teach in a very thematic way. If you've ever attended one of my workshops over the last 6 months, I walk you through how to take your essential question and incorporate and integrate all your social studies and or science, and then like enhance through project-based learning. So I love to transform my room and completely bring that theme to life. So this is always the great, like the anchor. This is the starting point. This is what I come back to whenever things get a little bit overwhelming. So for first grade, it's why do people get involved in their communities? So we're just going to write down that first. Why do people get involved in their communities? And kindergarten teachers, what is your essential question? Go ahead and type it. Get involved in their communities. So I know that everything in this unit is going to tie back to people contributing in some way to their community, working together, collaborating. So those are going to be some big overarching themes here. And then in kinder, why do we have rules? So these, throughout the grade levels, the essential question and the themes build on each other. So for unit 1, I'm sure you were trained in this, but for unit 1, across all grade levels, you're going to have this theme of government, community, rules. It's going to start very basic in kinder, and then once you get up to 5th grade, it talks about like injustices and rights and things like that. So the theme builds upon itself. All right, so that's our essential question. Now we're going to turn to our skills and strategies insert. And then like I said, if you're accessing this online, click on your grade level, unit 1, then you'll see unit 1 TRS, click on that. And then on the left-hand navigation, you'll see skills and strategies, and you'll see something like this pop up. All right. Now, the skills and strategies has all 3 weeks laid out for you in terms of the, I call them close reading skills, the phonics, fluency, writing, and language. Now, I always start with these close reading skills. The close reading skills are anything that are comprehension-based. So these are going to be your mini lessons that revolve around teaching the reading strategies that are in your Common Core standards. So your main 9 Common Core standards reading strategies are going to be these close reading skills. So the way that I like to plan this is by going this way instead of going down. My template's sort of designed the same way. So we're going to move horizontally. So week 1, we're going to examine the skills that we have. We're going to start jotting them down here. And you'll notice when I write down the skills, I'm not writing down exactly what it says here. I'm developing my own shorthand, things that are going to help me internalize the skills and strategies that I'm teaching, and not always have to rely on the exact verbiage. And then from there, after you've done this a few times, you'll notice the cyclical nature of these skills, and it'll really help you internalize your standards better. All right, so the first one is going to be listen and retell key details. This is going to be a skill that they are taught all 3 weeks, every single unit, every single grade level. Let that sink in. That's a skill they're going to be doing for the rest of their life. All right, so the next one says ask and answer questions for clarification. So I'm going to write these down. And note that in K-1, it's going to be listening and retelling for the key details. Once they get to 2nd grade, that changes. And that's reflective of the, what is it, 0.2 standard, reading standard. Now the second one here, ask and answer questions, is going to be your first standard, 1.1, which is answering text-dependent questions. And let me show you what this looks like. Now, the key up at the top is meant for you to annotate, and it's going to help you notice how this program structure is designed. So this is basically what I've said so far, is that we've got key details for the first 3 weeks. It's cyclical, so I'm going to put my little spiral sign. Now down here, ask and answer questions. I'm going to look for that in weeks 2 and weeks 3 as well. So week 2, I see it right here. Find text evidence, ask and answer questions for clarification. So okay, it looks a little different now. Here they wrote find text evidence. So the lesson itself, once you open up to that page, might look a little bit different, but same skill, right? So that spirals throughout the 2nd week, and then let's see if it is in the 3rd week. Key details, illustrations, cause, effect, glossary, reasons. Nope. So I'm going to list it for week 2, and then I might put a symbol here. I'm not going to yet. At the very end, I might put a symbol here, like an asterisk, that shows that it's a priority. So I tend to use this asterisk whenever there's a skill that doesn't appear in the other weeks. So this one's okay. It shows up in 2 weeks. If you don't get it in week 1, it's not the biggest deal. You'll get to it again in week 2. So this can kind of help you manipulate and be flexible with your schedule depending on what's going on in your classroom at that time. But like I said, I'll wait till the end. If there's nothing else that becomes a super priority, I might make these a priority just because it doesn't show up in week 3. Now, if I continue to go down in the week 1 column here, the 3rd thing says build vocabulary, use context clues. So just briefly, the way the vocabulary is taught in this program is within context. So students are learning meaning-making strategies rather than memorizing a word list for vocabulary. Now you can certainly use the vocabulary words that they suggest to front load and help build a little bit of background knowledge if you'd like to, but the purpose, and you'll see this in your Common Core reading strategies too, the purpose of vocabulary is to teach the context in context. So the main vocabulary lesson you'll see is going to be context clues. Sometimes there's a few other variations of vocabulary lessons that will pop up, but I like to note that it shows up here in your close reading lessons, but I do like to pull it out of here and stick it in its own place on the template. This is a personal preference. Some people might not care, but I don't put it here. I put it down here. And the reason why I've taken it out is because you will begin to learn, and you'll notice that you are not always teaching a vocabulary strategy every week. Make sense? Just like some of these, you're not going to teach every week. Not everything spirals all 3 weeks. Personally, with my students, I want to acknowledge that this is complex text with a lot of new words. And so I want to help them make meaning of these new words with every new text that we read, regardless of if it is a planned lesson or not. Does that make sense? So again, I see that it says build vocabulary, use context clues. So I'm going to pull that out, put that at the bottom of my template. And I'm just going to write context clues. Now, sometimes it'll say build vocabulary before it, sometimes it won't. Sometimes it'll just say use context clues. And you have to put on your teacher hat and recognize that, oh, that is a specific vocabulary or word-making meaning lesson. Okay, let me pause for a second, answer questions. Hi, Brandy. Brandy was one of the winners of my Adopt a Classroom challenge. She's from Kentucky. She's in year 1. Hi, Maribel. Christine, yes, you will be able to watch this video again. It just won't be live, but it'll be archived. Okay. Oh, and I realized that Maribel answered that for you. Thank you. All right, the next strategy we've got down here is use illustrations and photos to describe key ideas. Now, that is the standard that revolves around graphic features. So it's illustrations in fictional text, or it might be like a chart or a graph in nonfiction, or photograph caption. So it all revolves around graphic features. In 3rd grade, I like to use the term graphic features. That's up to you what you'd like to use for K and 1. You can relate it back to your standard. If you pull your standards up, read exactly what that standard is. It's in the middle there, like 0.5 maybe. I'm just throwing that out there. See what the verbiage is around that. I'll write illustrations / photos for this template. And now I'm going to look to see if it comes up in week 2. It does. And then I got carried away. I didn't go to week 2 for vocabulary. There is context clues in week 2, and there's not in week 3. So I'll hold this up in just a moment to show you. Darn it, I took out 3 different colored pens. I always do this. I start out with like pretty pens. I have intentions of color coding. And then I start and I forget that I had all these grand plans. All right, and it looks like this illustrations lesson, this graphic features lesson, does appear in week 3 again. So what symbol are we going to put? You got it, the spiral sign. Ta-da. All right. Next skill, we've got cause and effect. So we're analyzing the text structure, and it's cause effect. Reasons, table of contents, I don't see it in week 2. Excuse me, I do see it in week 3. So I'm going to write it for those 2 weeks. And I'm going to hold off on the symbol for those ones for now. You guys with me so far? Can you give me a thumbs up? And then we always are going to have a compare-contrast lesson at the end of our week. So here our focus is to compare and contrast 2 informational texts, compare and contrast 2 informational texts, compare and contrast informational text and a biography. So the strategy is the same. Like I said, there might be variation once you actually open up to that lesson and teach it, but the strategy is the same, so I'm just going to write compare contrast for all three. And I'm going to actually, this might make it messy in the end, but we'll see. I'm experimenting. I'm going to write it on the bottom line here just to show that it's always going to be your last lesson. And that's true for, I think, all the grade levels. Like in third grade, it's always our lesson 14, compare contrast. Our lessons are numbered once you get to third. Okie doke. And little tidbit for my own class. My partner teacher and I, we always, whenever we have to trim back because of time or whatever, we tend to eliminate these ones and these ones. And after a while last year of eliminating these ones a little bit too often, we realized that we needed to bring that back in. That's super important. That's a big standard there. These ones we weren't as worried about because kids were doing that kind of naturally after a while, at least in third. But this one, we had to make that decision to bring it back in. So if you are going to use the whole approach of like trimming down and allowing yourself to get flexible, maybe keep these as a record of what you've taught so that you can remember what you need to start bringing back in based on what your kids need. Now that's all of them from week 1. I've got a few more here from week 2. So it looks like a new one here is identify reasons that support key points. So it's that author's evidence standard. Let's see if we've got it. We do have in week 3. So weeks 2 and 3 is going to be reasons, author's reasons. I've also got a table of contents lesson here, but when I get to week 3, it's a glossary. Table of contents and glossary. So since the table of contents lesson down here and the glossary lesson, since those only appear once, I'm going to put an asterisk next to those, meaning I've got to teach these lessons because that's not going to come up as frequently. So now here's where you can like see all your skills for the week. I'm pretty sure I got all of them. You can lay them all out, see what repeats, and then make your decisions. The clock one, if there's time, I used those ones as I noticed skills that were coming up, not necessarily so frequently in the span of a unit, but skills that spiraled throughout several units. But so those ones were like not ones that I hit all the time, not ones that only show up like Unit 3, for example. So those ones are like, if there's time, they're kind of in the middle there. Okay, can you show your key for the symbols? Yes. Here it is. So like I said, that's for the ones that, oh, where's my pen? For the ones that come up all the time. Those ones don't come up, so you know you have to teach those. They don't show up more than once or twice in the course of a unit. And then this one's kind of in the middle there, and if there's time. So Brandy, the color coding, what I wanted to do was keep the close reading skills, all of these one color, and then put them the same color on this, and then use different colors for these guys down here, because then once you start to transfer them here, it connects better. Okay, so those are our close reading skills. Now for spelling and phonics, you've got 2 here. Take a look here, phonics. For week 1, first grade, you've got short A and then final S. The second one there is going to be a review. So you've always got, I think you always have 2 here, and that second one's always going to be a review, to like a spiral review to touch upon in your shared reads. So spelling, I'm going to put short A and final S. Week 2, we've got short I and plural nouns. That's a language review. I'm going to put it there anyway, though. I'll tell you why in a moment. Short O, and then double final consonants. There, I can still color code if I'm doing it this way. Okay, so these are the skills that you're going to be bringing up in your shared read text. So you've got reviews. It likes to spiral those skills while also introducing the new skills. Plural nouns seems more of a language focus, but I'm sticking it here because you're going to be using that shared read text to teach that review skill. Now your language is going to be at the bottom. And these are your grammar skills. So your language is going to be taught also in context, similar to your vocabulary. It's going to be taught in the context of writing. My computer freezes and then I get a whole bunch of notifications. So sorry if I'm not getting to your inquiries in a timely manner. So these are going to be caught in the context of your writing, but they're extracted for you here at the bottom. We've got common and proper nouns for week 1. And I'm not sure what the case is for first, but in third, our language skills don't start spiraling until Unit 3. Unit 3 is when we get a lot of the review of these, but up until then, they're new skills each week. Might be different in first, but that might be something to look out for. Verb tenses, common and proper nouns. Okay. So that's our overview. Now from here, we're going to pull up our weekly, and we're going to start plugging in the skills that you've extracted. Okay, I need a new color for this part. All right. Now I'm going to look at this spread. So turn the page a couple pages, and here are your week 1 skills at a glance. So this to me is confusing to follow, so that's why I have this. Now down at the bottom you'll see what your texts are, and also for your mentor reads, you're going to have the Hello Community Garden. You're going to have, what's this one? Safe to Go. So those are your mentor texts. You have 2 of them in week 1. Those are used for your close reading skills. Now your shared reads are going to be found by reading these descriptions. I'm not going to read upside down. Goodbye. All right. So your shared read here is Katie's crop. So I'm going to pull that out. It's the first one. Katie's crop. And now your second shared read is introduced on day 3, and it's Kind Hearts Are Gardens. I think that's a poem. Kind Hearts Are Gardens. So day 1, shared reading, and then day 3 is the second shared reading. Gardens. And then your mentor texts, as I said, are at the bottom here. So hello, community garden. And safe to go. Yep. Terry says, looking at Unit 2, the secondary phonics is not the one that was previously taught. They're new. So let's take a look. Yeah, so week 1, you only have 1. Week 2, you have 2. And then it looks like the second one, inflectional endings. Yeah, that's different. And then you've got L blends. So I'm not really sure what constitutes why you'd have, what tells why you'd have 2 in 1 week versus just 1. If anyone can speak to that, let us know. Okay, and then, so our phonics focus here, where we're going to list our words, I'm going to be looking at our spelling word list, and for Kinder, you don't have spelling words yet. You're learning letter sounds. So this won't really become a set list of spelling words and for a while for you guys. But for first grade here, week 1, this is just the page before. We're just going back between these first few pages in the unit. We've got our spelling words here, and if I look at them, they're all short A. So it's that first phonics skill that I put here. See short A? So I'm going to write that here, short A, and I'm going to list my words. And then it seems to be that teachers kind of all use these words for different purposes. Some teachers like to send them home and give spelling tests. Some like to just focus on teaching the pattern. I think it's kind of up to you. Hands. Ran. Sack. She and she. And again, should have used blue, but oh well. Our high frequency words are going to be found in the same area. So I have space there for you to just write down what your sight words are going to be for that week. And go, see, she. Those 2 sight words are in your spelling word list as well. And the. So that's where I'm at so far. So day 1, introduce the new unit. I introduce the unit before day 1 even, since I said I like to make it very thematic. So I'll spend a day or 2 just bringing in the theme, focusing on the essential question, having the kids talk about it, and I actually like to have my kids rephrase the essential question in their own words. And there's also the little video that Benchmark has. You can kind of play that clip for them. I like to do that just on a separate day before I start the unit so I can spend a little bit more time on that. But otherwise, it's introduced day 1 in the TRS. And my planning templates, I've revised these 1,000 times in the last year, and I still have introduced new unit on all 3 weeks. So that's a typo that I like forever forget to take out. You're only doing it at the beginning of the unit. You don't need to introduce the unit again week 2 and week 3. Someday when I revise this, I will remember, I'll catch it, and I'll take it out. In the newest revision, I have the phonological awareness for each day. That was requested, so there's space now for that skill. Otherwise, these are my 3 biggies here. You've got your shared read focus, your mentor read focus, and then your writing focus. So let me show you how to fill out a day. We're going to go back to this spread. And find our phonological awareness. Where is it? Where is it? I was told that it was supposed to be every day. And also, here we go. Recognize and produce rhyme. So I was told it's supposed to be every day, and I think you use your shared reads for that, not your mentor reads. So we've got recognize and produce rhyme. Day 2, phoneme blending. Then phoneme segmentation. I don't see it day 4, and day 5, substitution. And again, I'm pulling the information out of here. Your phonics mini lessons at the bottom. All right, so your shared read focus, shared read number 1, Katie's Crop, you can find it here. You've got a lot. Usually it's several things listed here. So I say that if you have to just choose one thing that you really want to drive home for your kids based on, of course, like the time that you have in your day, but also like how the kids are progressing throughout the year. If you had to just choose one main goal per day, what would that be? And write it here. So it's like your top priority. So day 1, there's the building concepts. Since it's week 1, you're just now introducing the idea of community, reviewing periods, and then you're reviewing that second phonics skill, which is the finals. I'm going to put building the concept. Build concepts. Good citizens contribute to a community. So I'm just going to put in parentheses citizens. So we might talk about what a citizen is, what contribute means, what community means, all of those big ideas in the beginning. They put review phonics in the shared readings and annotations. Yeah, so when they're annotating their own copy of the shared reading, my shared readings books. What page were the spelling words on? The spelling words are the page before this spread. And it's the page after this one. So it's down at the very bottom here. And online it gets its own section. I think it's just called vocabulary and spelling. Do you think you will ever do a 5th grade plan with me video? Maybe. Let's see. I don't know if that changes it. So far in Unit 1, the phonological awareness lessons are not based on any text, just the skill and suggested words to use. Got it. So those ones, you're not using a text just yet. I don't think you're right. I don't think you do use a text for those. I think that's where you bring in all your other materials that come in K-1 that we don't get, all of your extra phonics instruction. Okay. Day two, it says to annotate. Normally days 2 and day 4, the kids are annotating in their My Shared Read. So I see a lot of teachers put that as their main focus. Now day 3, I might talk more about rhyme, since you are introducing Shared Read number 2, and I thought it was a poem, and it looks like it is now because it says model poetic features, rhyme. So I might have that be a focus. That sounds fun. And then day 4 is annotate. Day 5, you can annotate, you can review your language, common and proper nouns. Let's do both of those. Annotate and then touch on language. So again, this is just me hypothetically speaking. You adjust based on your kiddos. Now your mentor reads, those lessons are where you're bringing in these guys, whichever ones you've decided that you've got to teach. Color, remember to use pink now. So for day 1, I might do the key details. And the way that this program's designed is in K-1, the students are writing every single day. Now, it's a balanced literacy program, so you're going to be doing your shared writing, and then for the independent part of the writing, the students are going to be adding independently to that shared writing. So whatever you're writing together about has to pertain to the text that you just read about. So this whole idea is called writing to sources, and that's what builds throughout the grade levels. And once they hit 2nd grade, they're given one writing prompt a week where they need to write to the different sources that they've read in their text for close reading book. Very long text and a very intricate prompt. So in K and 1, I would say your main focus, and this is a big shift for many teachers, your main focus is going to be writing to sources and taking the information learned in the text and synthesizing it. So for writing, you've got writing about key details. So here's where you might pull your kids to the carpet and do your shared writing on your chart paper or on your whiteboard, where you verbally discuss key information that you just read about, and then jot down a few key details, and then you send them off into their workstations, one of the workstations, and then of course differentiate. One of the workstations you might have the students add another key detail. So that's their writing. Now day 2 we had the ask and answer questions, and then we also had reasons. Although, let me see something. Yeah, so and these TRSs, we adopted this the very beginning. So we adopted these 3 years ago. And since then, I've noticed that our version has a lot more mistakes than the more recent versions. So something I catch here is identify reasons, those authors' reasons, that skill in week 1. And it's not there in my TRS. So I'm going to add that here onto my planning guide. I've noticed that in 3rd a lot too. Okay. So I'm going to focus on ask and answer questions. And the writing that day is the students write a description. And I'm pulling that from here, the second part here. Okay, now day 3, we finally have that context clues lesson. So I'm going to focus on that for sure. And then I'm going to bring in there's key details again, and then there's the use illustration. So if I had to choose one, I would choose the illustrations one, depending on time. And then your writing is write a narrative. Now day 4, we've got that text structure lesson, that cause and effect, which I notice only comes up in week 1 and week 3. Cause and effect. And the writing is going to be write a description. And day 4, your main lesson is going to be that comparing and contrast lesson. And for this week, it's 2 informational texts. And then they're going to write about the comparisons. Compare, contrast. All right. So there's what an idea of 1 week is going to look like. You're basically using this to prioritize. Here's where you plug in. This is your home base, your starting point. And then if you have more time, once you become more comfortable with the program, you've really learned to master your mini lesson, go back in here and start pulling in all of these other extra things that you can focus on and weave into your lessons. All right, any questions? Okay, will you post what your pages look like at the end? Yeah, sure. Let's see. I can do other grades and other units upon request if you guys want. I have no plans of doing a consistent Sunday night plan with me like I did all last year. Every Sunday, that's what it was. It was plan with me. So we mapped out all the units, all the weeks, focusing on upper elementary. I have no plans of doing that this year, and I'm just going to kind of tailor my Sunday night videos based on the needs of the group, whatever comes up. So if there's a need, then sure. Thank you. Okay. Good. Hi, Aline. Ideas for early reading intervention. It's a good question. Do you always stay true to 5 days of teaching even if there's a holiday in the week? Yeah, I try not to carry over into the next week if I can. It feels uncomfortable to do that, but once you become more familiar with this program, you'll see that this is going to come up 1,000 times this year. So if you don't get to it, it's not going to be the end of the world. What is your best tip for teachers in first year of implementation? I feel like I have a different answer for that question every time it's asked. Just, I guess, trust the process and trust the cyclical nature of the program. If you don't get to every single lesson, if you don't, teach the lesson with all of the pieces that you're supposed to cover, don't stress. The way I taught my kids last year, the last 2 years really was so like patchwork. Just picked and I chose, and there was so much growth in the end of the year, just naturally because of the process and the cyclical nature. So just trust that. Try not to stress. Let's see. Do you have copies of what you did last year? Yep. On the collaborative drive, 3rd grade, under every single unit, there should be a picture. The writing seems challenging for 1st graders. Would you focus on just one type of writing? No, I wouldn't. I would use it as differentiate, based on your kids. You're always going to start with your shared writing, so it's highly scaffolded. You're the one with the pen. And then when they're expected to write independently, I would say that's where you can say, okay, my friend here is going to just verbally add another key detail. My friend here is going to draw a picture. My friend here might be able to write a sentence. My friend here might be able to add 2 more key details, okay? So, but you still want them practicing the different types of responses to text and not just focus on one type of writing as your only writing instruction, because you want it to be repeated exposure, repeated practice. If you don't want to abandon your genre writing, where you focus on just one type of writing for a week's time or a unit's time, you can pull out your process writing handbook. But for that'll be a challenge, because you won't be able to fit that in. I wouldn't say that you'd be able to fit that into your benchmark block. If you're going to focus on just explicit genre writing, you'll probably have to find another time in your day to do so. But there is that resource, the process writing handbook. Well, good. Thank you, Sonia. Can you post the website for the resources, the Google Drive? Yeah, so there's a bunch of people asking for that lately. The Google Drive, the collaborative drive, the link to that is under announcements. So one way that I organize information in this group's page, is by announcement. So at the very top, under where it says "You Got This," our title, you're going to see very small announcements, and then you're going to see an option to see all. So right now I think there's 5. So you click see all 5, and when you expand that, all of my announcements will pop up. I've got the rules and guidelines as one of them. I've got the collaborative drive as one of them. I have our we're not in September. I have our August challenge there. So all of the things that are ongoing are going to be pinned to the top there under announcements. Carla, so for early reading intervention, I would look online for all of those extras. Filter through, here, let me pull up my Benchmark Universe. So log in, give me a sec. There's going to be so much more available to you online than in print. So if you're one of those teachers that's reluctant to use technology, maybe that have that be a goal to overcome, because this website is awesome. Okay, grade 1, unit 1. Okay, so once you filter by your grade and your unit, you're going to see a left-hand navigation bar, whole group, phonics, small group, intervention, assessment, designated ELD, practice, homeschool, program support, Heidi songs, those videos, interactive learning games, and then the e-pocket chart. So quick overview. Whole group, that's going to be all of your text for the week, everything that you're doing in your whole group lessons, your TRS, virtual online versions. Phonics and word study, that's going to be all of those extras that I was talking about that we don't get in upper elementary. So you've got decodable text, cards, manipulatives, your freeze cards, your sound spelling cards, all of these virtually. The e-pocket chart is going to be in there as well. Small group is going to be all of your leveled text and reader's theater. That's what you're doing during your guided reading, reader's workshop time. Then intervention. When I click on intervention, I see a handbook for fluency, language, so building upon grammar skills, phonics and word recognition, phonological awareness, and print concepts. Now again, this is what's available to me in my district, so your district may have purchased more or less. Then we've got assessment, everything. Everything that you have in your assessment handbook is going to also be on here, broken up by week, so you can assign it to students so they can take it online. That generates some really good data. Designated ELD. Now the practice tab is going to have resources that the students can use while they're independent in their workstation. So while you're pulling your group, what the heck do the other kids do? Look at the practice tab. There's a lot of fun things in there that you can pull and print or assign virtually online. Homeschool. These are, you've got a family letter in here that connects the theme. There's daily take-home assignments like homework. And then you can also, if you're a K-1 and I think 2, you can print out your level text and that'll be under there. And then program support, this is the last thing I'll talk about. Program support is awesome. A lot of the things that I see being asked about, like where do I find this, or why does it do this? All of those answers can be found if you explore that program support tab. Specifically the program reference guide. If you click on that, there's some awesome things. So let's see. What's the main difference between 2nd grade to 3rd to 6th grade? I know your template is different. I'm understanding K-1, but not sure about the 2 through 6. Will you do at least one planning for 2nd to 6th this summer? Yeah, for sure. Maybe with the 2nd grade focus, since 3rd grade is already posted on your Google Drive. Sure. Yeah. The main difference between 2nd is 2nd has these shared reads that are that occur in K and 1. You have these shared reads that are meant for focusing on words, right? Phonics, fluency, that aspect of reading. 2nd still has that. Once you get to 3rd, we don't have shared reads anymore. We've got a word study page. So the focus shifts a little bit and the text types change. All right, guys, I'm going to end. I think I'm caught up with questions for now. I'll take pictures of these, upload them under the Unit 1 photo album, and then I'll also get them over to the collaborative drive. Hope this helped. If you planned along with me and would like to share yours, feel free to take pictures of yours, and we can see what you chose, and that way teachers can have different options. And as more questions pop up in the thread, I will answer. All right, thanks guys. Have a good week.